Your Majesty's Lady. I have a tale for you of a man called Virgil. Virgil was a Roman. He was a poet. He was a schoolmaster. And he was one other thing which I will mention anon. Now, when Virgil was newly come to manhood, he went to petition the Emperor of Rome. And when he had an audience, he said, "Your Majesty, your Emperorship? Sir, I have been wrongfully disinherited. The lands which belonged to my father and to his father have been kept from me, and they are currently in the hands, forgive my mentioning it, of some of your senators. And I come to you to petition for justice." And the emperor bade Virgil to wait and went to his privy council, some of whom were senators. And the council's advice to the emperor was, "Your lands are in very good hands by trusty men who will always be willing to aid you at your need. What should you care for the disinheriting of a schoolmaster? Bid him to go back to his school." And the emperor did not go back to Virgil with precisely these words. What he said instead was, "I am considering this matter. Do you wait 4 or 5 years until I can determine the justice and the law in this matter." Virgil was not pleased. And he said, "Sir, I have been disinherited. And if I will not get justice, I will get revenge." And Virgil took himself back to his keep, and he turned to his books of necromancy, for he was a wizard. You recall the thing I was going to mention? And he opened the books and he studied a while, and he cast a charm over the air above the disputed lands, so that all the ripe fruit and all the grain from these lands sailed up from the lands and deposited themselves inside Virgil's storehouses. And when the senators who were holding these disputed lands found out what Virgil had done, they went to the emperor. And they said, "Sir, this necromancer is a menace. You see what he has done. You see what he could do to us. You see what he could do to anyone who displeases him. Sir, will you not lead an army with us to come and reclaim those ill-gotten gains?" And the emperor agreed to lead the army, and a host approached Virgil's keep. However, as the army approached, Virgil cast another charm over the air, and he closed the air around his keep, so that as the soldiers tried to lift ladders, they were frozen, so that they could not move forward nor back. So some were frozen holding up the ladder, some were frozen with their swords in their hands. Even the emperor himself was frozen as he was commanding them to go forward. And Virgil came out of his keep and looked at the frozen army and looked at the emperor and said, "Say it with me now. Sir, I have been
disinherited.
Do you wait here 4 or 5 years? For I shall take this grain and this fruit and this meat, and I shall feast my poor kinsmen, for they have suffered much. And Virgil went back into the castle and caused a great feast to be prepared, great roasting pits. And he made certain that the savor of the roasting meat blew out to the frozen soldiers, whose mouths began to water to no avail, so that they should smell the feast but not get any of it. And he feasted his kinsmen all that night, and the next morning he came out to the emperor. What was that, sir? Oh! I said, I have decided that you have been disinherited. And Virgil said, you are a wise emperor, and you are my emperor. For what you have seen that I can do to you, I shall be willing to do for you. And Virgil invited all that host into his castle, where they were all very merry.